Hello and welcome. Tonight, bills seeking to rotate the office of the president and vice president among the 6 geopolitical zones of the country and 6 other constitution amendment bills failed to make it beyond second reading at the House of Representatives. Former Governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, asked the federal government to pay a compensation of 45 billion naira to the family of late MKO Abiola for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. It's a roll call of who's who as former President Goodluck Jonathan, President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio, and state governors pay glowing tributes to the late Niger Delta advocate Edwin Clark as he is laid to rest in his hometown, Kiagbodo, Delta State. And US President Donald Trump announces plans to lift sanctions in Syria after signing a $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia.
And on business, financial derivatives company projects April inflation at 24.82% amid weaker naira and rising costs.
On sports, Super Eagles forward Taiwo Awoni faces a lengthy layoff after undergoing a surgery and a serious abdominal injury.
From the nation's capital, Federal High Court fixes June 27th for judgment in suit filed by Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, challenging a suspension by the Senate.
If you are one of those expecting the bill that seeks for an act to provide for the principle of rotational presidency among the 6 geopolitical zones see the light of day, well, you may have to accept the fact that it's now dead on arrival. In fact, 7 constitution amendment bills have failed to scale second reading in the House of Representatives. The bills were lumped together and put to vote as lawmakers voted against them. Our National Assembly correspondent, Terry Kumi, now reports.
The Deputy Speaker presides over the first plenary session of the week in the Green Chamber. The House delves into the order of the day with 7 constitution amendment bills listed for second reading. All the bills are thrown open to a debate. However, the one which seeks to provide for the principle of rotation of the offices of the President and Vice President among the 6 geopolitical zones of the country sparks a debate. Those in support of the bill believe it will address the issue of marginalization.
In Nigeria today, states, zones like Northeast have been marginalized, and they need to be given fair treatment. And zones like my brother Honorable Falake zones have been, so far they have spent 12 years as president, and we believe that's enough for Southwest.
If this is entrenched in the Constitution, it will bring justice and fairness, because let's not deceive ourselves. There are some zones, if it is left open, a certain particular zone in this country will continue to dominate.
For all the lawmakers, the demerits outweigh the merits.
If that geopolitical zone has its own shot, the next one will wait for about 48 years. Regardless of the quality of people we'll have in that zone, this country will lose that opportunity of bringing people that will render public service for this country just because of regional affiliation.
If we come to the Southwest, I'm from Oyo State, who takes it? Is it Ogun? Is it Ondo? Is it Ekiti?
Mr. Speaker, I implore that we do not set a dangerous precedent and put it in the Constitution without due diligence, which I'm sure the Constitutional Review Committee will do so. But while it tackles injustice, I must agree with the previous speaker. This could really set us back. And finally, unfortunately, we are but human beings. What happens in the event of death?
All 7 bills are put to vote at once, leading to their death.
For it to progress, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Yeah. The nays have it.
Efforts are then made to save some of the bills.
My request, my appeal, is that I move that we rescind that decision and the question be put per bill. If we reject one bill, and reject another, we might find one that we want to accept.
Let us rescind by tomorrow and take care of all this one after the other.
Now, following the directive of the Deputy Speaker who presided over plenary, the 7 bills would likely be reconsidered on the following legislative day if the chairman of the House Committee on Business and Rules lists them as motion on notice for rescission to allow members vote on these bills separately. And this is because members had specific interest on specific bills as debated on the floor during plenary. From the National Assembly, Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
To the Red Chamber, where the Senate has asked the federal government to ensure the inclusion of a representative of each local government council and area council of the FCT in the deliberations of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee. It also directed that the resolution be communicated to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, who serves as the chairman of the committee for immediate action. Meanwhile, the Senate has asked the military to urgently redeploy personnel and advanced equipment to Borno and Yobe states. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
At the start of plenary on the first legislative day of the week, the chamber quickly filled up with lawmakers as visitors, including the APC national chairman and the governor of Kebbi State, are admitted to witness another round of defections from the PDP to the APC, a now seemingly recurring pattern. They include Senators Adamu Aliero, Yahaya Abdullahi and Garba Meidoki, all from Kebbi State.
The leader of the Senate, you are now to play your role by moving them down to the side of the ruling party, where they will be better placed to help to develop their constituency. Say that for us in the APC, this is a very wonderful development. And for all those who are also keenly watching political developments, be rest assured that at the end of the day, this can only be for the good and greatness of Nigeria.
Separately, in a move to advance transparency in the nation's revenue-sharing formula, a motion sponsored by the Deputy Senate President seeks an all-inclusive FAC representation to ensure constitutional compliance.
Paying the local government councils through the states of the Federation has not worked. Therefore, justice demands that local government councils' allocations from the Federation account should henceforth be paid directly to the local government councils. It has become imperative that a representation of local government councils be per state and area councils be nominated to represent their interest at FAC.
Interests surge as the motion is immediately debated.
Because when they sit at Federation account and get what they know what they are getting, let them not go back with 3 times allocation and they tell the people that what we got is 1 allocation. This country deserves a lot of transparency.
As governors in 1999, we didn't even know what the local government council chairman were getting because they were getting their money directly from the Federation account.
Insecurity is another thorny issue that becomes the nodal point in another motion raised by the chief whip.
Worried that the insurgents have employed more modern technology, including the use of drones, to unleash attacks on villages and communities in the states.
Urge the military high command to swiftly redeploy sufficient personnel to the northeast and ensure they are adequately equipped with modern technology and otherwise to effectively address the resurgence of Boko Haram. Yes.
The Senate now resolves to double down on its oversight over the armed forces and ongoing national security concerns. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Former Governor of Jigawa State, Mr. Sule Lamido, is asking the federal government to pay the family of late Moshood Abiola the sum of 45 billion naira as compensation for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Mr. Lamido stated this at the unveiling of his book in Abuja, where he argued that the acclaimed winner of the general elections of 1993 has not been fairly compensated. The event was well attended by political heavyweights, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, who represented President Bola Tinubu
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo leads dignitaries, including the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, for the unveiling of a book in honor of former Governor of Jigawa State, Mr. Sule Lamido. The book reviewer highlights the author's opinion on Nigeria's political journey since 1999.
Sule concludes by pulling together several issues discussed in the book, with particular focus on the challenges of today's democracy. To Sule Lamido, the tyranny and greed of today's leaders is at the fulcrum of democratic failures.
For former President Obasanjo, the occasion provides an opportunity to reflect on the personality of the author.
Sule Lamido has admirable character, but then your job is not finished, because the Nigeria that you and I were working for, we haven't got there.
The book is then unveiled by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, and he admires the author for his strong criticism of government's policies.
Edwin Clark, though a staunch member of the political opposition and often a critic of the government of President Bola Tinubu, remains one of the strong pillars of Nigeria's political evolution.
It's then time for the man of the moment. He expresses appreciation for his guests and makes a case for the family of late Chief MKO Abiola.
I would like to appeal to the President, President Tinubu, to close the chapter of June 12th. In his book, General Babangida revealed that Abiola won the election. He said that. When I went to him, he said that Abiola, this was because Abiola was being owed 45 billion naira. And therefore, he became the president, was going to pay himself the money. So it means Abiola is being doubly punished. Denied his own presidency and also his own money. So please, tell the president, please let him pay to Abiola family the money for which he has been suffering, for which he has been denied his own presidency, 45 billion naira. It's very, very important.
The book, titled Being True to Myself, is an autobiography of the former governor, a reflection of his travails and successes as a child, adult, and sojourn in politics.
We're in Delta State now, where tributes poured in from across Nigeria's political landscape as dignitaries gathered in Kiagbodo for the funeral of elder statesman and nationalist Chief Edwin Clark. President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, former President Goodluck Jonathan, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, and several state governors all joined others to honor the late icon.
It was a solemn but dignified event in Kiagbodo as the nation bids its final farewell to Pa Edwin Clark, a revered voice of the Niger Delta and a towering figure in Nigeria's political history. Among those present are governors from Delta, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom and Bauchi states, alongside former governors and federal ministers, all gathered to honor a man they call a bridge builder and a symbol of integrity. In a moving sermon, Anglican Archbishop of the Bendel Province, Cyril Odutemu, describes the late Edwin Clark as a man of rare integrity, known for using his legal knowledge to defend the voiceless.
Edwin Clark shows a good name. A man who uses legal wisdom pro bono for the well-being of all Nigerians. Therefore, Nigeria can remain one for good.
It's time for tributes and eulogies, beginning with the host's governor, Sheriff Uborewore, who describes the late elder statesman as a man of honor.
There was just something about him that did not allow him to keep silent in the face of abuse of power, corruption, and injustice. He was a voice of reason and wisdom in the national political space.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio and former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan also paid glowing tributes to the late Niger Delta leader.
He was not just a father, leader, and patron. He was an extraordinary human being, a pillar of our nation, an audacious voice for the voiceless, and an unflinching defender of justice, minority rights, and national unity.
So as we are seated here now, I want to see up to 100 by Edwin Clark emerged from the Niger Delta region, because we're all his students. We're all his students. He did well for us, he did well for Nigeria. As we bid him farewell today, we remember that we are not just laying a man to rest in the grounds of the Niger Delta, but a monument.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, describes Chief Edwin Clark as a courageous and principled advocate for justice, unity, and resource control.
He spoke for the Niger Delta. He spoke for the nation. His views and interventions on national issues were distinct and patriotic. He was a champion of his community and the country. But Clark believed in a united Nigeria, and until his last breath, he never stopped reaching out to people from different parts of the country to work together to preserve national unity based on justice and equity.
The service concludes with dignitaries leaving the arena while his family lay his body at his resting place. From the creeks of the Niger Delta to the corridors of national influence, Chief Edwin Clark's life was one of purpose and conviction. His passing marks the end of an era, but his voice, values, and vision will echo for many years to come.
In part two, after the break, Vice President Kashim Shettima says there's no better time to invest in Nigeria as he meets with a delegation from the Islamic Development Bank. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Bill seeking to rotate the office of the President and Vice President among the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, and 6 other constitution amendment bills failed to make it beyond second reading at the House of Representatives. Former Governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, asked the federal government to pay a compensation of 45 billion naira to the family of late MKO Abiola for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. It's a roll call of who's who as former President Goodluck Jonathan, President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio, and state governors pay glowing tribute to the late Niger Delta advocate, Pa Edwin Clark, as he's laid to rest in his hometown, Kiagbodo, Delta State. And U.S. President Donald Trump announces plans to lift sanctions in Syria after signing a $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia. Vice President Kashim Shettima says there's no better time to invest in Nigeria, explaining that President Bola Tinubu has addressed most of the bottlenecks affecting businesses in the country. The Vice President stated this during a meeting with a delegation from the Islamic Development Bank at the State House, Abuja. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is hosting a delegation from the Islamic Development Bank led by its regional head, Mr. Hamad Hondal, in his office at the State House, Abuja. The Vice President tells the visitors about the giant strides made by the Tinubu administration in providing an enabling environment for businesses to thrive as it calls for more investments.
This is an exciting opportunity to invest in Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has created the enabling environment. Most of the gray areas that hitherto serve as a disincentive to investors have been addressed. So I want you to reckon in your country engagement framework for the development of halal economy, one, for the promotion of digital trade and investments in education, health, and infrastructure.
The delegation presents the country engagement framework of the Islamic Development Bank to the Vice President, underscoring its commitment to tackling poverty and driving green economy. The bank is also looking to upscale its interventions in Nigeria.
We'll also be focusing on bringing more children back to school through the out-of-school children program and also building the productivity-enabling infrastructure, which is focused on increasing the connectivity, the regional corridors, the rural roads, as well as enhancing Nigeria's energy security.
The administration of President Bola Tinubu aims to achieve a $1 trillion economy by 2030. And to achieve this objective, the government is looking to attract more investors into the country. From the presidential villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
So let's now head to the nation's capital, and Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Millicent. Over to you.
You're quite right. Many thanks, Ayatunde. We kick off in the courtroom where Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court Abuja has fixed June 27 this year for judgment in the suit filed by suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan challenging her suspension by the Senate. This is coming after all the parties adopted their final briefs of argument. Counsel to Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Jibril Okutekpa, urged the court to invalidate her suspension, which he said was done in disobedience to a valid court order. The defendants challenged the court's jurisdiction to meddle in what they termed an internal affair of the Senate. More so, the defendants accused the plaintiff of breaching the court order on April the 4th, which gagged the parties from public utterances on the pending matter. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, through his lawyer, Mr. Kehinde Ogunmiju, specifically drew the court's attention to what he described as a satirical apology the plaintiff tendered to him on her Facebook page. Meanwhile, before she adjourned the matter for judgment, Justice Nyako said she would first consider the issue of contempt raised by the parties before deciding all the preliminary objections. Meanwhile, operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have arrested a Lagos-based socialite and businessman, Fred Ajidua, pending his rearraignment for an alleged $1.43 million fraud. EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale declined comment after the arrest, but a highly placed source within the agency confirmed to Channels Television that Mr. Ajidua was arrested in Abuja on Tuesday and is in EFCC custody. Last week, Friday, the Supreme Court had ordered his remand in the Correctional Service and revoked a bail granted him by the Court of Appeal Lagos Division. In a unanimous ruling, the Apex Court held that the Appeal Court erred in granting bail and ordered Mr. Ajidua's return to correctional custody. The court also directed trial judge Justice Mojisola Dada of the Lagos State High Court to resume hearing of the criminal case. Fred Ajidua is standing trial for allegedly defrauding a German company over 3 decades ago. In Zanfara State, as part of activities marking his second year in office, Governor Dauda Lawal has commissioned 140 security vehicles and launched a 50-bus mass transit scheme. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, the governor explains the vehicles are part of his administration's continued efforts to tackle insecurity and improve public transportation across the state.
These are the newly acquired 140 security vehicles and 50 mass transit buses unveiled by the Zanfara state government. The security vehicles, comprising patrol vans and armored personnel carriers, are meant to be distributed to security agencies including the Nigerian Army, Police and Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) for operations across all 14 local government areas of the state. This move underscores Governor Dauda Lawal's commitment to restoring peace and stability in Zanfara by equipping security agencies with the necessary tools to respond swiftly and effectively to emerging security threats.
We are gathered here today not just to celebrate but reaffirm our commitment to His Excellency's mission in providing operational vehicles to security agencies in order to enhance their operational efficiency in tackling the lingering security challenges bewildering the state.
The Commandant General of the NSCDC, Dr. Ahmed Audi, who was the special guest of honor at the event, commends the governor's initiative as he reaffirms the agency's support for a coordinated and robust security collaboration.
We recognize this your role, and this role that you played will continue to spur us to put the 3 C's into its practicability. The cooperation, collaboration, and of course, coordination by all the security agencies.
Governor Lawal seized the occasion to highlight key security interventions and reforms implemented by his administration in the past 2 years.
Over the last 2 years of our stewardship, we have launched a series of similar initiatives. We have provided various logistics support, essential resources, and welfare package to our security agencies, including vehicles equipped with advanced gadgets, motorcycles, and allowances for our gallant officers. As we commemorate my administration's second year in office, this gesture underscores our commitment to delivering tangible benefits to our people.
The event ends with the formal commissioning of both the security vehicles as well as the mass transit buses for use.
Still ahead on the news at 10, it's an April inflation projection by financial derivatives company at 24.82% amid weaker naira and rising costs. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Abuja studios. We continue with about 300 people virtually impaired by cataract in Adamawa State and now receiving their sight restored thanks to a medical outreach embarked upon by the NNPC Foundation in collaboration with the Adamawa State government. Performing the flag-off ceremony in Yola, the Adamawa State capital, the managing director of NNPC Foundation declared that the intervention is a first step to several healthcare initiatives by the NNPC Foundation in the past 2 years across these 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
Cataract is one of the leading causes of blindness globally, responsible for nearly 50% of all blindness cases in Nigeria, according to the World Health Organization. gathered here at the specialist hospital in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, are men and women of all ages with impaired vision undergoing free cataract extraction surgeries facilitated by the NNPC Foundation and its healthcare initiative. Team lead of the medical outreach, Dr. Dahiru Ribadu, highlights that the exercise targets 1,000 surgeries across the northeast, including Gombe, Bauchi and Yobe states.
This event marks a significant, not only in public health service delivery, but in the affirmation of our shared commitment to restoring dignity as a new quality of life for our people.
The managing director, NNPC Foundation, Emanuela Arukwe, represented by the executive director, Program Development, Dr. David Bala, underscores the broader goals of the initiative.
At NNPC Foundation, we recognize that sight is a fundamental pillar of human dignity and opportunity. This understanding forms the basis of our outreach program.
The Adamawa State Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Mr. Felix Tangwami, represented by the Director Planning and Research, reaffirms the state government's commitment to healthcare.
As doctors in Adamawa State, or healthcare workers, or even all the civil servants, we are proud when we go all over the corner to say that yes, we are from Adamawa State, because we come, you will see the results.
Some of the beneficiaries applaud the initiative by the NNPC Foundation.
I feel we use the opportunity to come and have this surgery.
If NNPC and any other public-owned company will be behaving like this, it will be a serious relief to the citizens of this country.
With 300 patients treated in Adamawa State, another 700 surgeries are planned, 200 each in Bauchi and Gombe, while 300 would undergo free cataract extraction in Yobe State. This medical mission is one of the several health interventions under the NNPC Foundation's national outreach, which includes glaucoma treatment across the 6 geopolitical zones.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Ayatunde, believe it or not, my work here is done. It's now over to you.
Thank you so much, Millicent. It was color, culture, and culinary celebration as the beloved food seasoning brand Onga brought the rich flavors of tradition to life at the 2025 AMVCA Cultural Day, a thrilling prelude to the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards.
As guests trooped in, adorned in regal traditional attire, they are greeted with sights, sounds, and tastes from across Nigeria's diverse ethnic groups. Proudly partnering with the AMVCAs, Onga, a household name in seasoning, takes center stage, not just for taste, but for tradition, as they continue their mission to preserve indigenous culture. Onga's passion for storytelling drives their sponsorship of key AMVCA categories, including Best Indigenous Language.
This is the 3rd time in a row that Onga has been partnering with MultiChoice via the AMVCA platform, and we expect that this partnership will continue. We believe in good storytelling, and as a brand that is also the best in culinary space, Mama's Helping Hand will bring out great taste and aroma in every meal. So what better platform to partner with than one of the best in African movie storytelling?
Fittingly, the day's host, Enioluwa Adeoluwa, Stan Nze, and Bam Bam are natural storytellers who embody the spirit of the brand.
AMVCA Cultural Day, sponsored by Onga, and Onga is our Mama's Helping Hand, and today they are helping bring this beautiful experience to life, and I cannot wait to experience everything here. The energy here is electrifying, the dances, the culture, the colors, the vibrance. I don't want to go home.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. So many variety of foods. I'm talking
talking of Fada, Malatuwo, different tribes are properly represented with your meals. It's been great so far. Thank you.
It's all of us tasting different foods from different cultures, embracing other people's cultures, not necessarily ours. For example, I'm Yoruba, I'm dressed in the Hausa traditional attire, and not just from cultures from Nigeria, cultures from all over the world, and so promoting unity.
Inside the event hall, the brand pulls out all the stops with an electric performance, which is highlighted by the spraying of custom Onga notes, a nod to Nigerian celebration of culture. The Onga AMVCA Cultural Day is an experience, a celebration, and a tribute to the cultural richness of Nigeria and beyond.
One of Nigeria's leading players in the consumer goods sector, Unilever Nigeria PLC, has declared 7.1 billion naira at 1 naira 25 kobo per share as dividends to its shareholders. The company also announced 15.1 billion naira as profit after tax during its 100th annual general meeting in Lagos. The chairman, board of directors of Unilever Nigeria PLC, Mr. Bolaji Balogun, and the company's managing director, Mr. Tobi Adeniyi, see Unilever remains committed to Nigeria's economic development.
Please, we need to see.
It's the 100th annual general meeting of Unilever Nigeria PLC. Shareholders and the leadership of the company are here to assess Unilever's corporate and financial performance for the year ended 31st December 2024.
Thank you.
The company recorded a top and bottom line growth, with revenue growing by 44% to 149 billion naira, and net profit rising by 79% to 15.1 billion naira, marking Unilever Nigeria PLC's third consecutive year of profitability growth. With this strong financial performance, the shareholders have returns for their unwavering support.
The board has recommended a dividend of 7,181,256,771 naira, being 1 naira 25 kobo per share for the year ended 31st December 2024.
Despite all the problems in our economy, Unilever continues to work stronger. And I'm particularly grateful about the dividend which the company is paying today.
Part of the ordinary business of the day is the election and re-election of directors of the company, and the official introduction of the new managing director of Unilever Nigeria PLC, Mr. Tobi Adeniyi.
I really want to appreciate your renewed trust in us as an organization.
The board and management of Unilever Nigeria PLC reiterate the commitment of the company to long-term success.
The overall performance last year demonstrated first and foremost that we are taking improved market share. The margins, are pretty robust. The returns to shareholders, importantly, are reflective of that.
We'll continue to focus on our big brands, continue to also dial up in terms of excellence, in terms of our competitiveness, and of course, continue to streamline our bottom line to ensure that we deliver value.
We will continue to reinvest into our business to ensure that we can drive and sustain future growth. Our approach to capital allocation is balanced. We consider our strategic priorities and the needs to continue to grow the business.
Unilever Nigeria PLC looks forward to better operational and financial performance for the year 2025, even as it continues to satisfy the needs of the people and families across Nigeria through its food, home, and personal care products.
Business News is up next, and Will Ibong is standing by to give us the very latest. What's the latest really about the inflation rate? Will, tell us.
Thank
Thank you, Today we're getting projections from economic think tank Financial Derivatives Company FDC projecting that Nigeria's headline inflation rate will rise to 24.82% year-on-year in April, and this marks a slight increase from the 24.23% recorded in March. FDC also sees core inflation to rise by 0.9% to 25.33%, driven by structural bottlenecks, rising electricity tariffs, and higher logistic costs. Food inflation is expected to ease slightly, falling by 0.35% to 21.44%. The official inflation data for the National Bureau of Statistics is due May the 15th. Meanwhile, FDC expects the CBN MPC to maintain current interest rates at its next meeting next week. Now, the Africa CEO Forum ends in Abidjan, where almost 3,000 business representatives have been meeting with government and policymakers from the continent. Through sessions and closed meetings, there is a common agreement that building a closer synergy between the private and public sectors is compulsory for the growth of the economy. Our business editor, John Mekwa, has been covering the event and now reports.
Doing this, you can have the lower costs.
Powering progress, unlocking the industrialization of Africa is one of the sessions for the second and final day of the Africa CEO Forum. Top on the list to achieve this is power, and the panel here sees the adoption of renewables as a preferred path.
The objective is really about not just connecting people, because we have more than 600 million Africans without electricity, but also improving the reliability and affordability of electricity for those that already are, live or operate in areas where electricity exists.
Because with solar energy, you can clearly reduce the cost of electricity.
Industrialization also means urban mobility. Stakeholders from different parts of the value chain discuss attaining modern gig economy.
When we develop the e-mobility infrastructure, we are also connect massive new revenues for the government.
The two-day event also offers a platform for networking, one which many say has great impact.
The benefit is, oh my God, so much benefit. So just look at the incredible crowd from all the sectors, all the inspiring discussions we have.
I'm one of the bankers, head of mortgage and investment of a bank, a very popular bank in Africa. We've met before in a particular forum, and we've just agreed to do a project. They are going to come from, the demand, the mortgage side, which is one of the most practical problems that Nigerians are facing in acquiring properties.
There was a particular panel where, they just spoke about what the future is going to be, which is actually AI. And it's a bit scary, but I think it would really help us. A lot of things are personalized now when it comes to health. Technology is really going to help us.
Participants at the Africa CEO Forum for 2025 agree that the winning hand has both the public and the private sector. Now, while this knowledge is not new, it does seem that the global trade tension going on has fueled the determination of Africans to make it work, and that's why we hear agreement from both the public and the private sector, and we anticipate that this will be implemented. I'm John Mekwa reporting for Channels Television News.
Thank you, Ini. From Abidjan, there we head to the domestic equities market, where we saw a rebound in Tuesday's session following gains in Oando. Laudi Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the second trading day reverses the loss from yesterday, and we see the gainers chart now. Oando topping the counter. Oando had some news today. The Nigerian oil producer completed repairs on its pipeline in the oil-rich Bayelsa State after 4 oil spills there, and we see there 49.50 Kobo to close up a big 10%. Then we see still on the gainers chart was also Beta Glass there, quite an incredible run, and we see Transcorp leading there 9.99%. Let's look at the losers chart now. We see Holiday McCall PLC led the decliners at the close of trade there, down 9.85%. So midweek trading session tomorrow. We'll see if the bulls hold.
And let's see how other markets performed today. And that's business news. Ayotunde is back to you.
Thank you so much, Will. To our London studios now, and we have Simon Pusey with international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UN has called for urgent international action to get aid into Gaza amid fresh warnings that nearly 500,000 people there, 1 in 5 of the population, now face catastrophic hunger. Parents are fearful about finding food and medication for their children as the Israeli aid blockade enters its 3rd month. Since the beginning of March, Israel has blocked all shipments of humanitarian aid, including food and medical supplies.
We are adults, we can handle it, but these kids are victims. They cannot handle it. They can die from hunger. If my girl doesn't die today, she will die tomorrow if this situation continues.
Starvation is spreading. People are exhausted. People are hungry. And more now we can expect in the coming weeks, if no aid is coming in, that people will not just die because of the bombardment, but they will die because of the lack of food. Obviously, any aid diversion would be a matter of concern, but what I can tell you is whenever UNRWA or UN agency is distributing food, we're directly distributing the food to the people in need, for which needs have been assessed by us.
Screams of joy as the Israeli-American hostage Edan Alexander was reunited with his family in Israel. The 21-year-old had been held captive by Hamas in Gaza for 19 months. A senior Hamas official said the release was intended as a goodwill gesture and as part of efforts to reach a new ceasefire deal ahead of President Trump's visit to the Middle East. Mr. Alexander is thought to be the last U.S. citizen held by Hamas who is still alive. Donald Trump has arrived in Saudi Arabia for the first major diplomatic trip of his 2nd term. The U.S. president greeted dozens of Saudi dignitaries after meeting Crown Prince bin Salman. Elon Musk, President Trump's advisor and CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, is among numerous VIP guests who attended a lavish lunch in Riyadh's royal court. Mr. Trump is hoping to secure significant new investment in the U.S. on the 4-day trip to Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the UAE. A group of 59 white South Africans have arrived in the U.S. where they are to be granted refugee status. Donald Trump has said the refugee applications for the country's Afrikaner minority had been expedited as they were victims of racial discrimination. The government has said the group were not suffering any such persecution that would merit refugee status. The Trump administration has halted all other refugee admissions, including for applicants from war zones.
भारत के इन हमलों में 100 से अधिक खूंखार आतंकवादियों को
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said his country will respond strongly to what he describes as a future terrorist attack after 4 days of military exchanges with neighbouring Pakistan. It's his first public address since days of intense shelling and aerial incursions carried out by both sides began. The US brokered ceasefire agreed between the nuclear-armed neighbours at the weekend appears to have held so far. Both nations say they remain vigilant. UK police have arrested a man over suspected arson attacks on 2 properties linked to the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, and a car. Emergency services were called to a fire at the Prime Minister's private home in North London in the early hours of Monday. There was damage to the property's entrance, but nobody was hurt. And Kim Kardashian has admitted she thought she was going to die at the start of her burglary trial in Paris. Here, arriving for the start of the court case, her voice quivered as she told the court she thought two robbers who came into her room were police officers. Jewelry worth millions of dollars were taken, including a $4 million diamond engagement ring from her then-husband Kanye West. All but 2 of the 10 people accused of robbing her at gunpoint in 2016 have pleaded not guilty.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Nottingham Forest have announced that Super Eagles forward Taiwo Awoniyi has undergone an urgent surgery on a serious abdominal injury sustained in Sunday's Premier League match with Leicester City. Reports indicate Awoniyi could be out of action for up to 6 months. That's sports. I'm Kelly Egiga. It's back to Ayotunde.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The House of Representatives today rejected the bill seeking to rotate the office of the President and Vice President among the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, as well as 6 other Constitution Amendment bills. The 7 bills failed to make it beyond second reading at the Green Chamber. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.